Hi you guys, welcome back to my channel. Today I'm going to show you how to make Jamaican style oxtails the easy way. So to get started, the first thing you're going to need to do is of course get your oxtails, and you want to make sure that you wash them very well with cold water. And what I usually do is I usually cut a lemon in half, and I'll use that lemon to wipe off the oxtails. And then after I clean them all, I will then soak them with a little bit of vinegar and cold water, and then I will rinse them until the water runs clear. So as you can see here, I have my cleaned oxtails. The next thing I'm gonna do is chop up some tomatoes, some onions, and if you have red pepper, you can always use that, like bell pepper. And I also have some fresh rosemary from my garden. So I'm just applying some Himalayan salt and some black pepper. I try not to salt my food too much in the beginning, especially if I'm going to use things that have a lot of sodium in the recipe. The next thing I'm going to do is add some garlic, some paprika, red pepper, and thyme. In addition to those spices, I also added in some curry. Now I'm going to start adding in some of my liquids and marinades. So the first one I'm using is some soy sauce. I'm also going to add in some of this browning, and this is a key ingredient to get the dark color that you want to get on your oxtails. In the beginning, I use about a capful, and then after I season it with all of my spices and I drop my vegetables in, I then add another capful. I'm also adding in ketchup, A1 sauce, and some minced garlic. The next thing you want to do is make sure that you mix all of the ingredients together very well, because you want to make sure that the spices and marinades are equally distributed. I also added in some more of the Himalayan salt and a little bit more black pepper. Next, I add in all of the vegetables and the rosemary. And that's what it looks like after you mix everything together. And now I'm going to add in the last of the browning sauce. After the oil is warm, the next thing you want to do is grab a little bit of brown sugar and you're going to drop it into the oil. If you don't have the browning sauce that I used, you can also use the brown sugar as an alternative to help you brown the meat. If you are going to use the brown sugar to brown your meat, make sure that you leave the brown sugar in the oil long enough so that your meat does not taste sweet. Now that the oil is hot, we can start adding in our oxtails. Make sure that when you add them in that you leave them on each side long enough to brown it. After the oxtails are brown, the next thing you want to do is add in all of those vegetables. I cook my oxtails with the water, but at the end, after they are done, I do remove my oxtails out of the sauce and then I do drain it. I don't like a lot of texture to my gravy. I like something that has a smooth consistency. If you like texture, you can totally leave in the vegetables, but I do strain them out in mine. After mixing everything together very well, I'm going to add in some of these cubes. Since I'm going to be adding in water, I want to make sure that the water is flavored, and I believe that this flavor is beef. I'm also adding in a little bit more of the paprika as well as 2 bay leaves. After it's done, I do remove the bay leaves. So after 2 hours, I checked on the oxtails, and as you can see, they are already getting very tender and the meat is already falling off. Something you want to remember whenever you're making something like this is do not open your pot too many times. Every time that you open it, you're releasing the heat and it's going to have to build itself back up. So I usually check mine maybe like twice. I check it after 2 hours and then again at like 3 hours. Sometimes you might want to cook it a little longer, but for this small batch that I have, 3 hours was plenty. The next thing I'm working on is the rice. And this is probably not traditional, but I do not rinse my rice. This is white long grain rice. I usually pre-boil it for about maybe like 5 minutes after the water is hot. And then I like to drain that water and then I rinse it with cold water. And then I add in new water, just enough to cover it. And then I boil it until it's like done on like maybe medium heat. Now that my oxtails are ready, the next thing I'm going to do is start cutting my plantain. So whenever you purchase them, you want to try to get some that are going to be ripe. This one was pretty ripe. I bought it, I believe, maybe like 3 days before I wanted to cook it. And you can tell if it's ripe based on the color. You want to see it a little bit black so that you can make sure that it's going to be good when you make it. So I usually just cut off both sides and then I make a slice down the middle and then I just cut it. I also like to lightly salt my plantains before I fry them. When frying my plantains, I like to use a mix of canola oil and red palm oil. And I just fry them until they're brown on both sides and then I drain them on paper towel. And as you can see, my meal is ready, my rice is done, and so are my oxtails and plantains. These oxtails were absolutely amazing. They literally fell off of the bone. I actually wish that I had made more in the gravy. Like I said, I did strain out those vegetables so that I could have a very smooth texture. And everything came out absolutely amazing. Thank you guys for watching. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe.